Welcome back, Brawlers and Baku crew members. I'm BakuBrad96, and for today I have another Bakugan Pro TCG deck profile for you all. In fact, since last week was nothing but catching up on a product from Spin Master, I had a lot of unboxings. This week, I plan on focusing on deck profiles, so going to be putting all of those new Bakugan to use, hopefully in a lot of interesting builds that you will all enjoy or take ideas from. Now then, let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with the team I'm using. Now right off the bat, you already saw Fenneca Ultra, Aquos, double helix core, B power of 200 with 8 damage, and built-in reroll. Now on the surface, Fenneca Ultra looks very weak, but for those of you who don't know, the Fenneca Ultra Bakugan design actually double cores quite a bit on that big fluffy tail. So when you keep that in mind, Fenneca Ultra gets to be a lot more powerful when you count that it picks up the double helix or other cores per se. But I'll get more into Fenneca Ultra's combos and why it's so strong later on in the video. But for now, the fact that it has built-in reroll is the main selling point. This is kind of a reroll strategy deck. I have been hinting at it and previewing it a lot on my Discord server. There will be a link down below if you would like to join. That's where I do a lot of spoilers, tips, just a lot of updates on the channel are going on Discord now, so definitely join if you want to stay up to date. But moving on in the profile, the next Bakugan I use is Darkus Jetra. So it has a magic shield and an orange shield core, B power of 400 with 6 damage, and it also has built-in reroll as well. So once again, a pretty decently strong Bakugan. Having a magic shield definitely helps. At least this Bakugan get up to 1050. Otherwise, 6 damage, pretty good. And again, the built-in reroll, that's what I was looking for. The final Bakugan of the team doesn't have reroll, mainly because I didn't have a Pyrus Bakugan that has reroll. So I decided to use a Bakugan that I thought could benefit from the Baku core and the strategy of the deck on itself. Luckily, it was a Bakugan Evolutions Bakugan, so this deck isn't made of entirely old Bakugan. So anyway, here's Platinum Dragonoid, Helix core with a green fist, B power of 500 with 1 damage. Super weak, but get this, if it lands on a Helix and a green fist, so if it has both of those Baku core, it gets plus 1000 B power. Now that is where all of the strength comes in. And don't worry, because this deck profile can actually get Platinum Dragonoid there without using Chaos cards. So just doing a quick review of the Bakugan right quick. Here is Pyrus Platinum Dragonoid. I know for a little while I wasn't reviewing the toys because I wanted to focus on the card game itself, but someone suggested that I review the toys just while I go through it, so I will. Here is Darkus Jetra. Probably one of the coolest Bakugan, I think. Well, core Bakugan from Geogun Rising. I just really like it. Very glad I picked it up in Darkus. And then finally, there is the Aquos Fenneca Ultra. Not my mascot, but still an awesome Fenneca nonetheless. Now for the Baku cores I use on the team, I wanted max power, so plus 600 B power minus 3 damage. I'm using 2 of those. And then 1 helix, plus 300 B power and plus 3 damage. After that, it's pretty simple. 1 green fist, plus 150 B power, plus 2. The generic orange shield for plus 300. And the generic magic shield, plus 650 that everybody loves, including myself, because that is just such a strong Baku core. Now with the team revealed and the Baku core revealed, time to go ahead and get right into the deck profile. I want to try to shorten up my videos so they're not so long and boring. Let's see how this week goes. Starting off, double ninja gear, 0 energy to retract one of your open Bakugan. Really important with your reroll, Jetra and Fenneca, you can get multiple uses out of them without having them win a brawl and then just sit there. That is a problem with Platinum Dragonoid. You might not be able to get that initial win in. So, in case you just can't win with Platinum Dragonoid, always good to retract one of the other 2. I am using one Chaotic Darkness because this deck does have elements of like discard fodder for the opponent, you know, hand disruption. But I would really like to have more. Unfortunately, I just have the one copy. So one energy, and all you do is choose a player to discard a card. Could hurt some opposing strategies if you hit the right card, I suppose. But feel free to cut that for anything you want. After that, it is Deep Dive. One energy to draw a card, and you may reroll your Bakugan. This is a reroll deck, so you're going to see a lot of reroll effects. After that, Energy Sphere. So one energy for Rapid Fire. The second Rapid Fire card you play this turn is free. Otherwise, you may reroll your Bakugan. Again, all about that reroll. And I did throw in some Rapid Fire cards in here just because they synergize well with Energy Sphere. But whatever, right? After that is Bubble Net, so 2 energy for plus 300 B power, and then you get to retract your Bakugan at the end of the turn. Again, we want to reuse the Finica. Just keep reusing it over and over again. 3 Chomping Tornado, that's 2 energy for plus 500 B power. Really solid, gives us a big chunk of B power for a low cost. Now I do have a few Baku Gear cards in this deck. 2 of them being Darkus Destroyers, 2 energy for Shadow Strike, which is super because you don't want your B power or damage reduced. Otherwise, it gives plus 200 B power and plus 1 damage to your Bakugan. It's not the best Baku Gear card, but I really like giving Shadow Strike to a Bakugan that can reroll. You know, it's just better setup for yourself. Another one of, again, Cycling Madness. 3 energy for you to draw a card, and then your opponent discards a card, and then you return this to the bottom of the deck. So it's a card you get to use, and you don't even lose it. It just keeps cycling in for potentially more card draw and more hand rips from the opponent. Now I am using a few one-ofs, as you can all see. Dual Strike, 3 energy for Double Strike, and then you may re-roll your Bakugan. The Double Strike could be important. It could come up. But again, I just wanted to re-roll all my Bakugan. 2 Meteor Storm, 3 energy for 4 damage, and then you get to draw a card. With all the re-rolls, you know, you can draw into them. There's not like a, per se, a solid strategy. So card draw helps. Now then, to help us get into the 5 drops of the deck, which there is plenty of, I feel, I have 3 Song of Fire. So 3 energy for plus 5 energy is just kind of a ramp card for Pyrus. Once again, some reroll with an awesome discard effect in Shadow Dogs. So I have 2 of these for 4 energy. You must reroll your Bakugan. Excuse me, it's not optional on this card like some of them. But if you open on that reroll, your Bakugan not only gets plus 400 B power, but it also gets Victor, and opponent discards 2 cards. So that's where the hand discarding comes in. I know this deck isn't mainly discard, but I wanted to throw a few concepts in the build. Mainly because this one has discard and reroll. That kind of pushed me in the direction of the deck, if that makes sense. After that, another big chunk of B power in Starduck's Eye Blast. For 4 energy, you get plus 900, which is just really solid. I like it. Then 1 Aquos Lightning Rain as a target for Song of Fire. It is 5 energy for plus 700 B power, and then you get to scan, and then you get to draw. So, under Song of Fire on turn 3, an amazing card, right? Like, perfect setup. Same for these next few cards. These are my targets for Song of Fire. There is Darkus Pyrus Pulverizer. Again, 5 energy for plus 5 damage, and then you return this to your hand. So it's a card you get to constantly loop and cycle, with the added effect of Rapid Fire. So the second card you play this turn is free, or you play this, and then you play it again for free because it has Rapid Fire. I'm pretty sure it works like that. I could be wrong, but if it does work like that, and you can play it twice for only 5 energy, and just keep returning it to your hand, it's just really nice, right? Again, you can only do it once, because once you play it, the second Rapid Fire card you play it, so you play it, it returns to your hand, and then you play it for free. You don't get to do it any more than that. It ends after that. But after that, Darkus Scion, another Rapid Fire card as well as a target for Song of Fire. 5 energy for plus 700 B power. Not as good as Starduck's Eye Blast, but the fact that you do have Rapid Fire helps it a little more, because you could potentially play out a free Pyrus Pulverizer or play a Darkus off of a Pulverizer. You've got the Energy Sphere, and then you have 2 Lava Blade, which, again, a rapid fire target and a Song of Fire target. For 5 energy, you get a Bakugear with an armor rating of 2. Good to know, because it soaks up that flip damage. But otherwise, it gives a Bakugan 200 B power and 4 damage. So, for 5 energy, it's not exactly the best Bakugear. It is kind of on the low end as far as what it gives you. But when you combo it out with rapid fire and re-rolling, I'm hoping I've got something going here. Next up, Telekinesis Crown. You got 6 energy for a Bakugear with, again, an armor rating of 2. I'm really a fan of soaking up that damage. Otherwise, the Bakugan equipped with this is going to get 600 B power and 6 damage. Now, there's a lot of 6s going on this card, and I don't necessarily like that, but it is very powerful nonetheless. It can't be turboed out with Song of Fire as easily. You're going to have to wait on turn 4. Because you need that extra energy, because it would only take it down to, it costs 1, because 3 gives you 5, you need 1 more, so you'd really need 4. So it can't turbo out as fast as I want it to, but again, a Crown on turn 4 could potentially be better than turn 6, and it's just powerful. I wanted to give it a whirl. Now, moving on to the flips, I did decide to go a different direction with my flip cards because the factions just worked out this way. But I am stopping other factions with my flip cards. So I'm using Aquos Speed, 1 energy to block a Darkus or Ventus Bakugan. Sea Serenity, 1 energy to block a Chaos or Ventus Bakugan. Counter Aggression blocks a Chaos or Pyrus Bakugan for 1 energy. So does Sea Serenity's 1 energy as well, if I didn't say. Crescent Darkus Nullifier, 1 energy to block a Aquos or Pyrus Bakugan. And then Swift Flame, 1 energy to block a Darkus or Chaos Bakugan. So that does it for blocking the different factions. Now the rest of my flip cards, again, they focus on the discard part of the deck because I did want a little more synergy with those cards. I have 1 Punish, 2 energy for choose a player to discard a card. I would probably have more of those if I didn't feel like it would cut into the rest of the deck. And then finally, 2 Creeping Darkus. I would exchange this for probably 2 more of those, honestly. But for 4 energy, you get to block a non-fusion Bakugan, and if you do, you choose a player to discard a card. So, it's a little iffy. You have to block a non-fusion Bakugan to be able to get that player to discard a card, so it could potentially be a dead flip, especially if you're going against someone who uses Fusion Bakugan. Then it could just be a completely dead card, which is why I considered taking it out for 2 more of these. Unfortunately, I only have the 1 copy of Punish, but ideally, this is the card you would want in place of these 2 right here. But that does it for the main deck. That wraps it up. That's your solid 40. Now, this build doesn't use any Geogon in that 40, but it does use Nanogan, which by now all of you know is Bakugan's side deck material. So let's go ahead and get right into that. First one is Darkus Nano Crystalline. On a orange shield, if I can get it to focus just a little more, there we go. On an orange shield, you get to add a Bakucore from the field to your active Bakugan. And then on an orange shield and green fist, you get to steal an opposing active Bakugan's Bakugor and place it onto your own. So, very powerful effects, a very strong Nanogan. Definitely had to use it. Next up is a Angry Gary in Nano Sledge'em. On Helix, you get to add a Bakucore from the field to your active Bakugan. And then on Helix and Green Fist, you get to steal an opposing Bakugan's Bakugor and place it onto your own. I love that arrow effect because anytime you get to take an opponent's Bakucore is awesome. Now the minus symbol, it's cool because it removes the opponent's Bakucore and places it back on the field. But that's not as strong as stealing it and putting it on your own active Bakugan. And that's why I like those 2 Nanogan right there. But I'm not done. I have 1 more Angry Gary on the team. That's right, not 1 Sledge'em, but 2 Sledge'ems. This is the Pyrus variant. On a green fist and orange shield, you get to add a Bakugan from the field to your active Bakugan. So all of the Nanogan on this team have the input, output, however you want to say it, or effect, to add a Bakugan. And then its second ability, double green fist, one orange shield. If you're on those Bakugan, you get plus 1400 B power, and again, you get to add a Bakugan from the field to your active Bakugan. I don't know how you could do any better than that. All three of these Nanogan work very well together. They all add cores, and that is the whole point. Now, back to what I started at the very beginning of this video. I talked about how Finico was very well as a combo Bakugan or a play because it does potentially double core. As I spin Jetra around, I will show that right now. See, as you can see, I just threw those core on that tail and they are sticking. Maybe not as strong as I would like, but in a Bakugan Pro game, that is a double core. So now that the double core is proven, let me explain to you all the main strategy of the deck that I feel would work. So mainly what you want to do is you want Finico Ultra on any helix. You just have to roll her on a helix, right? So just any helix, just say the plus 600, right? So that's 800 with 5 damage, which come over here. And you want to use your Aquos Nano Sledgehammer because if you can see it on a helix, that's when you get to add a Bakugan from the field to your active Bakugan. Now at this point, you could add that 650 shield to give you 1250 on that 200, so that's 1450. That's more like it. Or, you could take away all your damage, go that route with 2 helixes. Anyway, you do what you feel is best. One thing that I found you could do is if you wanted to use all of your Nanogan, so you roll Finico onto an orange shield, right? Totally sucks. Well, use your Crystalline, you get to add a Bakugan from the field to your active Bakugan. That's when you add the helix on there. Now that you have a helix on there, go ahead, use 2 Nanogan in one turn because you can. You only get to use them once, but if you want to waste them all on one turn for one combo, you can, and that's what this strategy does. So, orange shield with Crystalline, pick up another core. You pick up a helix. Then when Nano sludge them, you pick up another core. So let's say, I don't know, pick up a magic shield, but you don't want to do that because you want to keep going off. Well, then you use Aquos Nano sludge them to pick up from picking up the helix, pick up a green fist. And now that you have a green fist and an orange shield, well, guess what? Go ahead, pop out that second sludge them because now you have an orange shield and a green fist. That gives you another core. Bam. So you see the whole point? This deck can go off and all you have to do is generally pick up 1 helix or 1 orange shield because those 2 will get you going in any combination of Bakugan. Likewise, if you don't want Finico for the example, let's use that Platinum Drago. So where's that character card at? Now by now you all know his effect, so roll him onto a helix. He's halfway there. Guess what? Nano Sludgeham's gonna let him add a Bakugan. Add the green fist. Now Drago has his bonus. What's good? Like perfectly, right? Like there is no downside to these Nanogan with this team. Very synergistic. They work very well. Here's another example. So use the Crystalline. You land it on orange shield. You get to add a Bakugan. Well, add that green fist. You added that green fist, and now you're gonna use the Pyrus Sledgehammer. What's the Pyrus Sledgehammer let you do? It lets you add a core. What are you going to add? Helix. Now that you have a helix on there, you can pop that Aquos off. Another core. See? That's the strategy of the deck. That is what it's designed to do. And you're not necessarily going to want to get Jetra off because Darkus Jetra is a little weaker even if you do stack on the 4 core. But in playtesting, if you use your Nanogan in a turn along with your reroll cards, you can net a combo of 3 to 4 Bakugan on 1 Bakugan, and that's kind of the whole point. Now, I usually max out the Bakugan at 3 cores because that's usually when the Nanogan are all used up, and then they're used. You can only use them once. But that definitely guarantees you a win. You definitely want to do that maybe the 3rd win, so it's a team attack, and it initiates the team attack, and you get the most advantage you can out of the combo. Otherwise, it's just really neat interactions that work very well for this specific team. So let me all know what you think in the comments down below. That does it for this deck profile. I want to thank you all so much for your continued support. As of recording, the channel has been bouncing around between 554 subscribers and 556. That's okay. I know we'll work on it. You just have to keep pushing it. Y'all keep supporting the channel, and I know we'll keep growing the Baku crew. But for now, I'll see you all next time. Stay safe, drum up, and Bakugan, brawl.